Hello guys, welcome back to our Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of upcoming episode Throne of Seal based on novel. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. So let's start. Through the previous attack, he could sense that this was a human assassin of the 7th step, but his cultivation was bound to be rather high, at least at the 5th rank of the 7th step. Otherwise he wouldn't have been able to sneak up to him and damage his defensive equipment. But so what? The Star Demonic Grasp was one of the most powerful innate spells used by star demons. It was not only extremely fast to chant and release, but was most of all a control spell of the 7th step. Breaking free from it would take quite some time for an assassin, and this was enough time for his team and him to tear the enemy to shreds. However, as a very dense killing intent filled the eyes of the assassin controlled by Star Grasp, Shinsuo was immensely shocked. A very dense killing intent burst out from the assassin, and immediately, a dark golden flash of light glinted, like a devastating storm. Countless dark golden-colored blades appeared instantly, causing violent explosions, which destroyed the Star Demonic Grasp's control. Meanwhile, from a house 100 meters away, a white light instantly illuminated the surroundings. It fell on the assassin and changed his direction with a strong pulling force, tugging him in the direction of the house. Kill them. With this shout of fury, an orange radiance was released from Shinsuo's back, and his spiritual wings were unleashed. The other demons also followed his lead, and except for the demonic bear, the others flew at high speed towards the direction of that white glow. Among the ranks of the demon hunter removers, the demonic bear was running towards the assassin. Making use of their ability of flight, the other demons chased in the direction of the white glow, while Shinsuo stayed a little behind in his capacity as their team leader. Suddenly, Shinsuo, who was in the midst of accelerating in his flight, had a cold feeling of terror befall him. In his mind, he wasn't feeling the existence of any enemy nor danger, yet his instincts were telling him that a catastrophic situation was about to appear. As a powerhouse of the 8th step, Shinsuo didn't spend any time thinking, and with a dense flash in his eyes, a strong orange glint scattered from his body, launching an attack in the air around him. No one. Due to sensing a threat to his life, Shinsuo launched this all-out attack. Given how powerful the elemental shock of a powerhouse of the 8th step was, it was fortunate that they were in the air when an explosion covering over 100 meters diameters occurred, otherwise Major Jacques City would have suffered a calamity. Right at that time, all the demon hunter removers instantly stopped in their tracks, unconsciously looking up to the sky. They also had a feeling of crisis due to their instincts and looked up, right when the sky darkened. The sky turned grey, as if invaded by dark clouds, and the dense killing intent seemed to hover above all that. Neither his spiritual wings, his staff, his skull or the spiritual energy that was rapidly depleting could resist the force from being taken in by that poignant grey radiance. Shinsuo had an expression filled with disbelief, as his body froze in midair. Right at this moment, a pair of deep black spiritual wings were unfolded in midair, being attached to an elegant figure. Also, right at this time, a golden figure appeared in the sky like a lightning bolt. It reached those black wings, before a burst of bright light abruptly erupted from its chest. The next instant, the figure with the black spiritual wings didn't even give those demon hunter removers the time to make sense of the development, disappearing in the brilliance of the golden light. Shinsuo, who had had a lifeless look up till now, slowly fell from the sky, with his orange spiritual energy particular to star demons still igniting. However, his soul was already destroyed, taken by the spiritual stove of samsara. The golden light flashed again, and with a sweep from that golden figure, the corpse of the demon Shinsuo disappeared. The golden figure drew an elegant curve at low altitude, before heading for a cloud high up in the sky. All the demon hunter removers looked dumbstruck, unable to conceive what had happened just before. How could Shinsuo possibly have died just like this? Wasn't his death just an inconceivable sight? And more importantly, according to their senses, the enemy who just appeared wasn't that powerful, yet they managed to kill Shinsuo, star demon of the 8th step. How was it possible for him to die in an ambush like that? The demonic bear shouted in fury, "What are you waiting for?" instead of going after them. During this shout, his right foot stamped violently onto the ground, producing an ear-piercing bang that crashed a large area of surrounding buildings, turning them into a pile of rubble. The other demon hunter removers finally reacted, and the 8 powerhouses of the 7th step hurried to the sky, going right after that golden figure that was shrinking in the distance. The demonic bear, being unable of flight, could only stand in the same place, looking up to the sky. To his astonishment, he found out that the golden figure had 4 spiritual wings, and that his flying speed was so fast that it was far beyond compare with the demon hunter removers. Suddenly, the demonic bear felt a shiver. Underscore in the clouds. Could it be don't follow? Come back. He shouted, facing the sky. However, standing in the middle of a town, with the other demon hunter removers already above 100 meters high, the buzz and noises along with the undulations from their spiritual energy cancelled all the sound from his shout. All he could do was to watch those 8 demon hunt removers in the sky disappear from his sight. The massive demonic bear suddenly had a feeling similar to the one of getting struck by lightning, underscore fooled. We were just fooled, underscore from the moment the assassin appeared and had stopped the attack, they seemed to have fallen into an elaborate trap. The death of Xingsuo turned their star team demon hunter remover squad into a headless dragon, and in the fury and panic, they fell headlong into their enemy's trap. However, nothing about that could be changed now. The demonic bear relied on brute force, but this didn't mean he was a muscle brain. While the demon hunter removers seemed to be in no mood to consider their actions, the clouds in the sky turned bright and colorful. The battle only lasted for a short time, and along with muffled sounds of battle, the headless star team demon hunter remover squad was exterminated. Although these demon hunter removers were at the 7th step, being stripped of their leader and most powerful other member, Xingsuo and the demonic bear, how could they resist against an elite king grade and an elite commander grade demon hunt squad? When the last corpses were retrieved, Long Haochen and Tianqing exchanged a meaningful glance, and everyone flapped their spiritual wings, rapidly following their route of escape. After living in seclusion for more than 10 days, they finally got the opportunity they were waiting for. Ever since Xingsuo's group entered Major Jiak City, they were already under their watch. Their strategy was very simple. Their 2 assassins were supposed to ambush the star demon acting as their team leader, and then be rescued by Long Haochen using Yating's Saint Spiritual Stove. Afterwards, Long Haochen would lure the enemies into the sky. However, in their original plan, Kia and the assassin were supposed to do their best to inflict some damage to the star demon, so that he wouldn't be able to join the battle. But no one had expected that the star demon would actually be killed by Cai's dagger of samsara. The 2 demon hunt squads quickly landed afar, after reaching the place Tianqing found somehow by following natural landmarks. A rock moved, revealing a dark cave. They entered after they first concealed all their traces. This path was also leading to the team section. After everyone entered the team section, their faces were brimming with excitement. A sure kill with 1 attack. With the exception of the demonic bear, this whole demon hunter remover squad had been destroyed, including even 1 star demon at the 8th step. One might well imagine their outstanding military service from that alone. The death of a star demon of the 8th step was one of the missions accepted by Long Haochen's group, one which had huge rewards. This was also what pushed Kia to take risks aiming for the enemy's life. Haochen, where's your comrade? Is she all right? Tianqing inquired. Actually, when Kia killed the star demon in 1 blow, her attack even caused changes in the sky, giving them a great shock. Long Haochen shook his head, replying, she's all right. Let us rest and reorganize for now. Lin Xin, who used the spiritual stove of Blue Fire Phoenix, and Sima Xian, who made use of the spiritual stove of Purple Thunder, looked both somewhat pale, clearly from the secondary effects of the spiritual stoves. They all needed some rest. After saying this, he hastily returned his comrades to their respective rooms, not giving Tianqing the time to inquire any more. Seeing the figure of Long Haochen's back as he left, Tianqing sighed secretly. After suppressing his curiosity, he still found not asking too much was for the better. Kia had been transported to the Tower of Eternity by Long Haochen, and although he looked rather calm, he was actually burning of anxiety deep inside. Kia and him had always been together, which was to say, no one could understand Kia better than him. Under normal circumstances, even by using the power of the spiritual stove of samsara, she could not instantly kill a powerhouse of the 8th step, even if that powerhouse of the 8th step was purely specialized in magic like a star demon. This wasn't the first demon of the 8th step that Long Haochen faced, and his comprehension regarding the power of the 8th step was really profound. In particular, given her perfect concealment when Kia launched her attack, making a sure kill in 1 blow, something was bound to have happened. Thus, after finding out that something was wrong with Kia, Long Haochen had no choice but to take the risk of exposing the Tower of Eternity by sending her there. He preferred to take the risk rather than staying any longer on the battlefield, where it was really too dangerous for her. For the rest of the battle, Long Haochen also kept going all out, to take care of the battle as fast as he could to return as soon as possible. The reason was naturally to examine Kia's condition, and not because he was in a hurry to return to his room. With a glint of bright light, the eternal melody was reactivated. Long Houchen transported himself to the Tower of Eternity very impatiently right after getting back to his room. Although they could already train at the second floor of the Tower of Eternity, the entrance of the tower was still on the first floor. Kia was quietly sitting there, cross-legged, and in one glance, Long Houchen's look immediately changed. This was because he abruptly realized that he could feel no sign of life from Kia's body, while she sat there like a sculpture. Kia. Long Houchen called out in anxiety, but still, he was in the end no impetuous person who rashly dared to touch Kia's body. Cautiously crouching closer, he used his great mental force to scout for Kia's breath. At such a close distance, Long Houchen finally managed with difficulty to sense traces of Kia's fluctuations of spiritual energy. The feelings of unease in him gradually turned into surprise. Kia's breath was still present, but it was very weak. And the spiritual energy in her seemed to have blended in with her surrounding environment, as if she turned into a part of the Tower of Eternity. Since none of her habitual killing intent was emitted, she gave off the feeling of being one with the world. Could it be that Kia is having her awakening as a God's chosen one? Long Houchen wasn't certain, but felt faintly that although Kia's current state couldn't be described as good, it wasn't a dangerous one either. What a foolish girl you are, to act so recklessly. Long Houchen sighed lightly, but had an indulgent look towards Kia. Sitting near her, his gaze didn't stray from her, sensing some changes in her aura. Before Kia awoke, he could absolutely not leave her side. As Long Houchen guessed, it was obviously not by using her normal strength that Kia managed to kill Xing Suo in one blow. According to Long Houchen and Tian Qing's plans, the assassin from their King Grade Demon Hunt squad was supposed to try assassinating the Star Demon. Kia understood very clearly that to get rid of this Demon Hunter Remover squad within the shortest period of time possible, the most important matter was to suppress the fighting power of the Star Demon acting as their leader. Otherwise, given the great power of Star Demons and that unstoppable great prophecy technique, when trying their utmost against them, some casualties would very possibly occur. Thus, right at that time, Kia only had a single thought, and that was to try her utmost against that Star Demon. As for how much she'd be able to do, she didn't give it much thought, as she knew that Long Houchen would definitely come to save her in case of mortal danger. This absolute confidence got rid of any worries from Kia's side, and her determination brought her into a very special state. The Saint Daughter of Samsara was not inferior to the Sign of Light in the slightest, and an unprecedented power emerged in Kia's body. Right then, Kia's eyes and mind were solely focused on her target, as if nothing else except for that Star Demon or herself existed in the world. While having an absolute focus, vanishing entirely, and raising her senses to their ultimate level, Kia disappeared entirely. Just like Long Houchen sensed it before, in her previous attack, she became like a cloud in the sky, a gust of wind among the clouds. Even the Star Demon of the 8th step had no way to sense her existence. Under these circumstances, the Dagger of Samsara and the Spiritual Stove of Samsara produced an unprecedented destructive power that appeared in Kia's mind. Right at that moment, she felt her own senses merge with each other, drawing all their power from her instincts. She herself didn't even understand how she launched such a blow. After completing this blow, Kia lost her 6 senses, and her whole body remained as an integral part of nature even as it got transported by Long Houchen to the Tower of Eternity. This time, the loss of her senses wasn't due to the after effects of the Spiritual Stove of Samsara. After fusing 3 spiritual stoves, Kia could already use the Spiritual Stove of Samsara once without suffering its backlash, and after this use, she only needed to rest for a period of time to avoid the after effects the next time she used it. Of course, if she wanted to exert a greater deal of the power of the Spiritual Stove of Samsara by using it several times in succession, it would still cause the same backlash as before. Her special state lasted for 3 days and 3 nights, after which the changes in her aura calmed and Long Houchen's worries settled. He knew that K.D. must have been immersed in a comprehensive state. While the other members from the Demon Hunt squad rested and reorganized in the team section, the whole Major Jacques city was caught in a frenetic state. The sudden strike of the 17th King Grade Demon Hunt squad and the 64th Commander Grade Demon Hunt squad, and their success in killing a Demon Hunter Removers squad brought a massive shock to the group of demons living in the city. Demons weren't idiots. For them to still have gotten raided by a Demon Hunt squad after searching for such a long time, what did it mean? It meant that the Temple Alliance ought to have a hiding place in the surroundings. With the momentum, a second underground search was done thoroughly in Jacques City, and 6 more Demon Hunter Remover squads assembled again in the city. The demonic bear, only survivor of the Star Team Demon Hunter Remover Squad, was fuming and searched even 1 meter deep underground. The whole Jacques clan was mobilized by this calamity that happened in the Jacques province. The situation outside was very tense, to the extent that even the news conveyed to the team section were becoming rarer and rarer. However, Qianqing didn't worry. Given how immense the team sections of the Temple Alliance were, reaching a depth of 10 meters, and given their specialized barriers, even the finest powerhouse of the 9th step wouldn't be able to find its location when exerting his mental force in search for them. As for digging 1 meter deep, would they really find the place? Haochen, good news came. The Demon Hunter Removers are already retreating, and now, only one team is remaining in the city. They should be staying at the castle of Jacques City. What do you think? Should we give it a try? Qianqing's eyes gleamed. After pondering for a moment, Long Haochen asked, couldn't this be a bluff? Although this time, the demons have been searching for another 15 days, they still left too quickly without any results. I find that abnormal. Qianqing nodded in admiration. Haochen looked young, but his character was extremely steady. What you're speaking about isn't impossible, but risking our lives is originally our mission. We are always in danger, but danger is also synonym for opportunity. We have been staying here for too long. When we act again, we'll have to leave this place no matter whether it turns out a success or failure. For this reason, we have 2 options. First, to leave without acting. Or second, to attack that team of Demon Hunter Removers staying in the city before leaving. The searches outside should have ceased, and the frequency of the news reports we are receiving from our people keep increasing. If you are still unsure, how about we wait for more information for some days, before finally coming to a decision? Long Haochen cheerfully agreed, okay, then let's do as Big Brother Qianqing says. 3 more days passed in the blink of an eye, and news kept coming from the outside, indicating all kinds of happenings. Those Demon Hunter Removers indeed all left, but the demon side dispatched a fiend cavalry of 1,000 to help guarding the Jacques province. The news indicated that soon no more Demon Hunt Removers would stay to guard the city. Haochen, we cannot keep waiting. According to the news that just came, the last Demon Hunter Remover squad is already outside the city, and should be about to leave. This is an extremely good opportunity. Long Haochen still had some hesitation. Big Brother Qianqing, this time we got quite good results here. How about going for the dependable way, and leave this place now? In another place, we can also ambush Demon Hunter Removers. For some reason, in his unconscious mind, he felt a certain feeling of danger, as if some indistinct eyes were watching him all the time. Kia quietly followed Long Haochen. If one paid careful attention, they would notice that a change appeared on the current Kia compared to before. The coldness emanating from her seemed to have vanished, becoming less distinct compared to the past. Even her eyes looked a lot more gentle than before. But upon careful inspection, one would also notice that Kia's reserved look made her all the more terrifying, as if she was hidden deep inside a bottomless pit. After 3 days of rest, Kia recovered her senses, but didn't manage to start her awakening as a god's chosen one. But that day of becoming one with her weapon for the first time made her ability even more effective, giving her a lot more power. After returning to the team section, Kia had stayed secluded till they headed out. She had the strong feeling that her awakening as a god's chosen one was about to happen anytime now, and that she was now very close to a turning point. Very possibly, what she lacked for the awakening to start wasn't effort, but a bursting flash of comprehension. Everyone were powerhouses of the 6th step or above, so even when advancing underground under Qianqing's lead, their speed was great. When they saw the light again, they appeared outside of Major Jacques City. Without need for Qianqing's instruction, the mage and priest of his team got moving, launching Falcon Eye and Eyes of Truth to scout the field ahead of them. The mage reported in a low voice, found them. It's a group of 10 that just came out of the city, led by a black-clad, young-looking demon, of indiscernible race. However, his aura is extremely powerful, and it's very possibly a devil dragon. If so, we are going to encounter a dragon team-type Demon Hunter Remover squad. The priest immediately reported, no invisible enemy lying in wait within 1,000 meters, everything is regular. Qianqing asked the mage, any traces of an ambush nearby? Investigate more carefully. The mage nodded, reinforcing his output of spiritual energy, and launched Eagle Eye in all directions. This mage's greatest ability of detection could even detect invisible demons. This spell, available to mags of the 7th step, helped to scout at a range of up to at least 10 kilometers. When focusing on a smaller range, its detection would become more detailed. A short time later, the mage replied, "Everything is normal. The demons already left the city, and don't look about to fly, only advancing rapidly toward the central province." The black-clad youth aside, there's also a girl cloaked in white, with an humanoid appearance. Her cultivation, or race, cannot be seen. At their back, there are 4 other humanoid demon powerhouses and 2 bestial demons, 1 jack demon and a demonic bear. I can say with confidence that except for the black-clad youth, at least 2 of the other humanoid demons are pure magic users. They are leaving at fast speed, so we already don't have the time for an ambush. I suggest meeting them head-on. We should have odds of 70% to get rid of them. Tianqing nodded, giving a loud shout, "Go." As he said that, he abruptly drew his own heavy sword. Lifting the golden shield in his left hand, a dazzling dark golden radiance spread out from him. With a low roar, an immense earth dragon appeared in front of him. This was a magical beast of the 8th step, Vajra dragon, the most powerful kind of earth dragon, comparable with a human powerhouse of the 7th step. More importantly, its defensive ability was immense. When contracted with one, a knight gained 1 more ultra-strong meat shield, that even a powerhouse of the 8th step wouldn't be able to kill in a short time. Tianqing straightened his posture, directly climbing on the back of his Vajra dragon. The warrior and the assassin also mounted the dragon. Their summoner of the 7th step held a silver-colored crystal ball in his hands, murmuring some chants of incantation, before 3 glows of light flashed, and 3 lightning panthers, magical beasts of the 6th rank, appeared before everyone. The mage, the priest and he himself each mounted one of them. At this time, their battle attainment as a king-grade demon hunt squad emerged. Of course, they could rely on their spiritual wings to snipe on the enemies from the air, but demon hunter removers weren't any weaklings, let alone a dragon team type demon hunt remover squad, which was the hardest existence to handle aside from king teams. Thus, they were economizing their spiritual energy. Moreover, their existence wouldn't be noticed as easily on the ground. Lightning panthers were magical beasts with ordinary attack and defense, but as wind elemental magical beasts, their speed was as fast as lightning. This ability made them undoubtedly the best mounts for mage-type vocations. Right after getting on the back of the magical beast, the mage immediately grabbed his staff and started a low chant, letting the lightning panther run as it pleased. It was as if he was stuck on its back and could therefore remain focused on his chant, without the slightest distraction or rush. The group of 6 rapidly rushed towards their enemy on the only possible road they had found by the use of the eagle eye. Everyone in the 64th Commander Grade Demon Hunt Squad was naturally looking at Long Haochen. With a purple flash in his eyes, Hao Yue's immense figure appeared before everyone. Long Haochen was actually very hopeful and fearless himself. After their previous ambush, over 10 of their 16 slaughter missions were already completed, and the greatest achievement among them was the completion of the mission to kill the Star Demon, which was second only in difficulty to the one consisting of killing a demon god. The mission of attacking the 72nd place demon god, who was located in a remote province, required all of them to go all out to handle him. But for them, giving their all was enough. But the Star Demon was a different matter. The overwhelming majority of Star Demons were living in Modu Core City, to say nothing of a Star Demon of the 8th step. In case they acted in the core city, staying undiscovered would turn out to be really difficult. Due to the terrifying pressure of the Demon God Emperor, the Temple Alliance never managed to set up a team section in Modu Core City. Moreover, countless demon powerhouses were also present there. They really didn't think that they would accomplish an extremely difficult mission like killing a demon god, thus everyone was a lot more relaxed. Over these past 2 months, they already completed most of their slaughter missions, and this naturally permitted them to take it slower from then onwards. They just hoped that this second attack would also succeed. The 2 demon hunt squads rushed forward at rapid speed, and Tianqing still took great care of Long Haochen's side, occasionally changing positions and wielding his sword to tell Long Haochen about their situation, while mainly hinting that the distance to their enemies was still far. Right, while using Eagle's Eye to scout, Lin Xin learned that the girl standing as second in command of this team was removing her cloak, exposing her face. Although it only lasted for an instant, the purple hair around her face and her close to perfect looks were seen clearly by Lin Xin. Wasn't that clearly Yu Yi? Long Haochen instantly looked sullen. We have been fooled, this was a trap. He looked forward at the group of Tianqing. But right then, Tianqing just crossed the hillside, disappearing from Long Haochen's line of sight. Strong magic fluctuations instantly erupted, and even from afar, they could clearly sense the temperature fall, as terrible fluctuations of energy rose. Obviously, the 17th King Grade Demon Hunt Squad was going all out in their attack, and Long Houchen's realization was a bit late. Right, that group leaving Major Jacques City unhurriedly was formed of Arbao and his Dragon Team-type Demon Hunter Remover Squad. After coming to an accurate judgment, Arbao took time to lay an inescapable net to trap Long Houchen's group. Their methods were very simple. First of all, they did their utmost to stay out of the range of detection of the Demon Hunt Squads, before retiring the other Demon Hunter Remover Squads one after another. Thereby, they gradually made Long Houchen's group relax their vigilance. When they left the town, their goal was naturally to pull the snake out of its hole. But how could they bait out the fish without giving Long Houchen's group the opportunity for an ambush? Arbao's stratagem wasn't anything brilliant, but rather absolutely simple and effective. Long Houchen and Tian Qing were both intelligent people, but sometimes, truth and deceivement were not easy to tell apart, especially with Arbao's absolute confidence in his plan. This was also the reason why he placed the troops for his ambush very far from the city. The instant Yi took off her cloak, Arbao shot her an unsatisfied glance. And right at that time, intense magic fluctuations suddenly announced the appearance of a demon hunt squad with 6 members, rushing towards them. Not that person. This was Arbao's first judgment. But no matter what, it was still a demon hunt squad. And furthermore, for a demon hunt squad to have the courage to attack him, it should at least be a king-grade demon hunt squad, thus getting rid of it would already be quite a big accomplishment. A grim laugh escaped Arbao's mouth, and with a cold shout, he ordered defensive formation. Right after saying that, he waved his right hand and shot a purple-black ball of light into the sky, which exploded with an intense light. This was the signal to launch the ambush. The immense demonic bear strode forward in large steps, and right then, powerful magic erupted. Ice Storm, an ice crowd spell of the 7th step. The 17th King Grade Demon Hunt Squad had only a total of 3 pieces of legendary equipment: the shield in Tian Qing's hand, the silver crystal ball of their summoner, and the staff of their mage. This was the optimal pattern of allocation that most demon hunt squads would choose, ensuring the demon hunt squad's best survivability and attack power. Without a doubt, the mage was their most powerful attacker. Ice Storm was a large-scale spell, for which even a mage of the 7th step needed at least a minute to cast. But even so, this spell was the most powerful one of the ice element for the whole 7th step. Moreover, the mage from the 17th King Grade Demon Hunt Squad was chanting slowly, delaying the use of his magic, to increase the condensation of the magic power even further. Fist-sized snowflakes streamed from the sky, producing an ice-cold and overwhelming feeling. Moreover, they were accompanied by unsurpassable whizzing sounds. Each snowflake was as destructive as a sharp blade, cutting the air apart, and severing everything in their path. In the midst of the terrible whizzing sounds, the snowflakes were accelerating, and the King Grade Demon Hunt Squad followed, advancing with overwhelming speed. Ice Storm wasn't a pure water elemental spell, but also included the wind element. The staff from the mage of the 17th King Grade Demon Hunt Squad was also of the rarely seen dual ice and wind element, giving the spell an even greater power. When used right, it clearly carried the might and power of a fire spell. One could see that during the use of the spell, the mage's face gradually became paler. From this, one may well imagine how massive the burden on him was. This was an absolutely unavoidable spell, covering a scale of several square kilometers. Arbao and his demon allies rapidly gathered, while the demonic bear interlaced his fingers and stood upright and unafraid. One could watch all his hairs hardening, and some deep purple-black ripples covering his body. He stood like a protective shield, about to resist the powerful incoming attack. 2 black-clad youths slowly stood behind him, emitting a deep purple radiance from their hands, and to one's shock, a staff appeared in the hands of each of them. Furthermore, they radiated very powerful magic fluctuations. Although they didn't reach the legendary tier, they were in existence at the peak of the glorious tier. In fact, demon mags would rarely use staffs. Darkness element staffs could only be made by demons themselves, given that the Temple Alliance would never make staffs of this element. From the appearance of 2 of them, the level of power of this Dragon Team-type Demon Hunter Remover Squad could easily be discerned. Even without Arbao's presence, the strength of this Demon Hunter Remover Squad was already far above the group Long Houchen's team had encountered before. Arbao's body slowly straightened up, standing in the center of their team. In front of the overwhelming ice tempest, his eyes suddenly lit up, and he suddenly took off his hat, before smashing a powerful fist to the sky. Right when this fist erupted in the sky, it tore the space apart, and those snowflakes were suddenly crushed, rendered unable to reach them. Powerful magic and strong defense. Right as this clash occurred, the most dominant event on the battlefield was the ear-piercing breaking sound, and the tempest of ice and snow slowly gathering in the center after covering the area of a square kilometer. Gradually, a massive tornado of snow and ice formed, hitting the 10 demon powerhouses. It looked as if this demon hunter remover squad would indeed not be easy to handle. But even so, the current Qianqing didn't show the slightest intention to cower and let Long Haochen's squad provide support. Moreover, the enemy was in the end still weakened by the ice storm. The Vajra dragon charged once again, lowering its immense head and aiming straight for the demonic bear. Currently, the demonic bear was still using both of his hands to defend his head and was unable to resist the charge of the Vajra dragon. In the sky, the ice storm components had now the size of ice chips, and none of the snowflakes landed on Qianqing. A terrible battle unfolded right then. Qianqing's strength exploded completely, and one could see the head of the Vajra dragon clash against the body of the demonic bear. In some regard, Vajra dragons and demonic bears were similar existences. They both possessed strong defense and attack power, but were slow and not capable of flight. Bang. The hardest part of the Vajra dragon, his head, clashed against the arms of the demonic bear. The demonic bear's body was huge, but the Vajra dragon was still domineering in comparison, to say nothing that the Vajra dragon still benefited from the momentum of his charge. Under normal circumstances, a Vajra dragon of the same grade would best a demonic bear, and although it wouldn't be enough to inflict serious damage to the counterpart, at least pushing the demonic bear aside would be no problem. According to Qianqing's calculations, its attack would be followed by his team's warrior and himself. They would swarm the enemy's ranks to kill the demons, relying on the burst of power from Ice Storm, which should at least have greatly reduced the fighting power of the enemies. However, he made one more miscalculation. In the midst of a violent explosion, the demonic bear's feet left a profound ravine in the ground, but the attack didn't knock him down, because a black figure accurately landed right at the back of the demonic bear, steadying his defense with his hands. This demonic bear now looked like an immense shield. Even with its defensive power, under these circumstances, he couldn't help but make a stuffy groan as blood gushed out of his mouth and nose. However, the price the demonic bear paid in form of these injuries undoubtedly brought them great benefits. Qianqing immediately felt like coughing out his blood, and his originally powerful ability, also combined with storing power, naturally changed targets. His heavy sword violently struck against the demonic bear, instead of aiming at the weakened enemies on their rear. The figure supporting the demonic bear from behind was naturally Arbao, who didn't omit to hit the sky with another punch to counteract the ice storm while blocking the enemy. However, he could still not cover all sides, and a large quantity of snowflakes was still closing in on them from all directions. However, the other demons weren't newbies either. Being powerhouses of the 7th step, resisting the ice storm for some time was no problem for them. Even by relying on his legendary shield, as well as the defense from divine obstruction, Qianqing suffered greatly from this punch. Surrounded by the golden glint released from the use of brilliant body, he was still forcibly pushed 10 meters back by this punch, with a feeling of numbness still remaining in his left hand. The peak of the 8th step. Qianqing's expression changed greatly. In fact, his current internal spiritual energy already surpassed 20,000 units. So with the addition of divine obstruction, and his mithril foundation armor, as well as his legendary shield, only a powerhouse at the peak of the 8th step could repel him with such an attack. Arbao charged into Qianqing like a tornado. Launching one fist after another, he covered him with unyielding attacks. Qianqing wasn't so easy to handle either. After determining the enemy's strength, he battled for his life and tried to escape, constantly using abilities to weaken Arbao. However, he was secretly in distress. Arbao's speed was far greater than his, so withdrawing was already completely impossible for him. Right at this moment, he sensed powerful auras approaching them from all sides. I was mistaken in the end. I truly regret not listening to Haochen's suggestion. However, Qianqing was after all a veteran with several years of experience, and although he felt painful inside, at this time his mind was extremely focused. And this time, he made the appropriate decision: we are withdrawing. I'll be staying behind to stop them. Don't care about me. Join Haochen to break out together. Go, now. Saying this, Qianqing shouted indignantly while looking up to the sky. Igniting a golden flame around himself, he suddenly turned around, directly abandoning his sword to hold his shield in both hands, knocking it fiercely against Arbao. Arbao's attacks were still too powerful. Those attacks that looked simple and direct actually possessed an incredible power, as if carrying the strength of heaven and earth. All his punches transcended Tian Qing's whole imagination. However, Tian Qing was still a Mithril Foundation knight, and was powerful in his own right. His many years as a demon hunter were the origin of his powerful strength and battle experience. At this moment, he made his whole strength burst out, not only igniting his body with holy fire, but also his flame of life. He was already fighting with all his might. His goal was simple: to sacrifice himself to give his comrades the opportunity to escape. In battles against demons, many demon hunters had already been forced to make this kind of choice, and being a guardian knight as well as their captain, he knew that something like this might happen one day. Thus, he didn't have the slightest hesitation. This attack was his choice, and he naturally had to bear the consequences of it. "No, Captain, I'm not leaving." The King-grade warrior snarled, breaking out with his pair of battle axes at full strength, launching Tornado Strike. The powerful offensive power instantly cut through two demon powerhouses, and he frantically aimed at Arbao. "Captain, the team cannot lose you. Hurry up and go." A blood-colored glow covered the axes, precisely from using madness. Indeed, a warrior was still a warrior, and even without a piece of legendary equipment on him, Arbao still had to suddenly step back when faced with the fast-spinning attack. With a loud and clear dragon cry, the air seemed to be torn and an explosion erupted, as that rotating warrior was kicked back. With a violent spurt of blood, even this warrior in the state of madness was sent flying by the power of Arbao's kick. While the blood from in his mouth spurted in an arc, his two battle axes were almost simultaneously dropped. Failure is the mother of success. This saying applied not only to humans, but also to demons. After his battle against Long Houchen, Arbao pondered about his painful experience and trained bitterly in seclusion. Therefore, his strength increased greatly. Now, not only did his cultivation reach the peak of the 8th step, but his fighting strength as a whole, as well as his comprehension of real combat, were completely different from before. At this very moment, it could be seen that his whole body was covered with a layer of black scales, while his blood-red eyes were full of bloodthirst. Tian Qing clenched his teeth bitterly, raising his shield, and knocked once again against Arbao. His only thought was now that no matter what, he would do his utmost to save his comrades. However, no matter which demon hunt squad, after fighting together for such a long time, how would one easily abandon his comrades? Tian Qing thought like this, but his comrades were the same as him. A bunch of differently colored flames ignited on the battlefield, belonging to every member of the 17th King-grade Demon Hunt Squad. They agreed by chance to make the same decision of igniting their flames of life, with an unanimous thought: they'd rather die here together than leave their comrade here by himself. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.